Quitting your job can be exciting, but it can also come with a little trepidation when it comes to telling your current employer. How do you quit your job on good terms? Who do you tell first? Do you put it in writing? What should and shouldn't you tell your employer? In this video, I'm going to answer all of those questions, give you a simple resignation letter template, and give you tips on resigning from your job without burning bridges with your current employer. Hi, I'm Stacey Davidson, founder and CEO of Virtual Job Search Coach since 2008, creator of the Power Up Your Job Search program. Welcome to my channel where I teach techniques and strategies to help you determine, pursue, and land your dream job. There are many reasons people leave a job. They want better pay or growth opportunities that they can't get with their current employer. They want a career change. They don't like their boss or coworkers. They want a different or more flexible schedule, to name just a few examples. Most commonly, people resign because they found and accepted a job elsewhere. However, I have also seen people quit suddenly due to anger or built-up resentment and frustration. If you are frustrated in your job and want to quit, I encourage you to have a new job lined up first, or at the very least have a 6-month financial sustainability plan worked out before you quit, because finding your next opportunity could take a little longer than you think. Now, before we get started, please give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and tap that notification bell to be reminded when my next video is out. The one caution I want to give you before you resign from your job is be really sure you want to resign. I've seen employees in the heat of the moment quit a job only to come back the next day regretting it and asking for their job back. Once you've quit, whether verbally or in writing, your employer is not obligated to give you your job back. So be really sure you want to quit before you do so. If you're unhappy in your current job, identify what you're unhappy about and try to address those with your employer if possible. Employers aren't mind readers. They may not recognize that you're not happy. So before you make any decisions to quit, I suggest trying to resolve your issues and concerns first with your current employer. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. So keep in mind that the issues upsetting or frustrating you in your current employment situation may not be any better with a new employer. Now, assuming you've worked through all of that already and you've made the decision to leave your current job, here are 4 tips on how to handle your resignation professionally, respectfully, and without burning bridges. Number 1, always tell your boss first. This is the most respectful way to quit your job. The first person you should inform that you're resigning from your position is your manager, not your coworkers. It's not necessary to tell your employer why you're leaving or where you've accepted a new position, if that's the case. Frankly, it's none of their business. It is natural for an employer to ask why you're leaving or where you're going. And if you want to tell them your business, that's completely your choice. But just know it's not necessary to explain. If you feel awkward about it, just say something simple like, "It was just time for a change." Number 2, give 2 weeks notice. In Canada and the United States, it's customary to give 2 weeks notice, but it's not a legal requirement. Some employers may have employment policies requiring 2 weeks notice or more. So check what your employment contract says before you give your notice. Although it's not a legal requirement to give 2 weeks notice, my personal recommendation to avoid burning bridges with your current employer if you want to leave on good terms is to give them at least 2 weeks notice. I know that can be hard if you don't like your job or your boss and you can't wait to get out of there. And I know that sometimes we've built up so much anger and resentment, we just want to stick it to our boss. But I really encourage you not to do this. You never know when you may need to call on them for a reference in the future, so it's in your best interest to leave respectfully. Number 3, put your resignation in writing. Before you tell your boss, have your resignation letter pre-typed and ready to hand to them after you've told them. You should always formalize your resignation in writing because that becomes part of your legal evidence if you ever need it. You want to keep your resignation letter short and sweet, and I'll give you an example in a minute. You do not need to explain in your letter why you're resigning. And in fact, in my opinion, you should not mention it in your letter. Never, ever say anything negative in your letter about the company, coworkers, or customers. Even if you're leaving because you're disgruntled, it's best not to put anything negative in writing. You can briefly thank your employer for the opportunities that they've given you. Or if you have a great relationship with your boss, feel free to thank them for their training, mentorship, and support of you over your time working with them. But remember, the purpose of putting your resignation in writing is a legal formality. It's not necessary to be long, explanatory, or flowery. Your letter should be concise, professional, and state 3 things: your position or job title that you're resigning from, the employer company name, and your last date of employment. You should indicate your last day of employment in your letter because it provides clarity for both you and your employer on your expected last day, so there are no misunderstandings. And some employers will choose to pay out the term of your notice and release you on the spot. If you've given 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 30 days notice, they will typically have to pay you out for that time period. Currently, because of the pandemic, you may be working from home and not able to meet with your boss in person to hand deliver your resignation letter. If this is the case, type up your letter and send it as an email attachment after you've informed your boss via video meeting or phone call. As I mentioned, your letter should be short and sweet and be written something like this. Dear manager name, please be informed I'm resigning my position as, and insert your job title, with, put the company name. My last day of employment will be, and then put the month, day, and year. I appreciate your support as well as the opportunities and growth I've achieved during my time at, and then put the company name. I would like to support a successful transition, so please let me know how I may be of assistance. Thank you again for the opportunity to work as a member of, put the company name. I wish you and the company all the best in the future. Sincerely, and then sign your name. You'll notice in the sample, I mentioned a willingness to support a successful transition. So this is my tip number 4. To promote leaving on good terms, employers appreciate it when you're able to support and provide a smooth transition. It's not likely an employer can hire an external candidate within 2 weeks, but if you can cross-train a coworker, set up a procedure manual, tie up loose ends with any project that you're working on to make your leaving as easy as possible on your employer, team, and manager, that will go a long way towards leaving on good terms. Something I want you to be prepared for as a possibility is a counteroffer. Not all employers will offer a counteroffer when you resign, but it can definitely catch you off guard if they do. A counteroffer can be very flattering, and if they offer you a raise equivalent to or more than your future employer, that can certainly be tempting. And it is certainly your decision if you choose to accept a counteroffer. But I want you to keep a couple of things in mind. If you've expressed in the past to your employer that you're unhappy, or you've requested changes or a raise and were denied, and now all of a sudden your employer is willing to give you that raise or promise those changes only now that you've decided to leave, think about what that says. Also, they may offer you a deal you can't refuse to get you to stay so it doesn't inconvenience them, only to let you go 3 months later. I've seen this happen to people by unscrupulous employers, so accepting a counteroffer can be a risk. If you've taken the time and trouble to find and accept a new opportunity, then you may be wise to stay on your new path. If you're leaving on good terms, now is the time to ask your boss for a written reference letter. If you're leaving on not so good terms with your boss, then consider who else in the company you could ask for a written reference. Check out my video, References for a Job Search, Who to Ask and Why You Need Reference Letters, where I talk about the value of getting references in writing. I guarantee you'll learn some things you've never thought of. And I'll put a link to the video in the description box below. I've worked with clients who've quit a job out of sheer anger, frustration, stress, or were so fed up they decided to quit without having another job lined up. And for some, finding a new job was a lot more difficult and took a lot more time than they expected. So I wouldn't be a good career coach if I didn't recommend you think through carefully your decision to quit, particularly if you don't have another job to go to. If you have quit before having another job lined up, and if you didn't leave your job on great terms, then it can be difficult to explain in a future interview why you left. Whether you quit or are let go by your employer, I provide some great tips and strategies in my video, How to Explain Why You Were Fired, Terminated, or Laid Off, on how to explain to future employers why you left your last job. I'll put a link to this video in the description box below. Have you quit a past job and had a unique experience? Tell us about it in the comments section below. If you like what you learned today, here are a couple of my other videos you might also like. Please give this video a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe for more tips and strategies to improve your career, job search, and interview skills. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.